Solomon of Solomonic Demons, and today we're gonna be talking about the ESP LTD Elite. Now, this is not a review of this guitar in particular, my LTD Elite Eclipse I. This is about what really happened with the LTD Elite range of guitars. I'm gonna tell you a little bit of the history of the LTD Elite range, why these guitars only last 1 year on the market, and at the end of the video I'm gonna give you my personal opinion about the LTD Elite range, and I'm gonna tell you why this is my favorite guitar.
Alright, so in January of 2013, in the NAMM show of 2013, ESP introduced the LTD Elite range of guitars. And these were the words of Matt Maciandaro, ESP President and CEO. We have long felt that there was a gap between our LTD and ESP lines that wasn't being fulfilled by our existing choices. LTD allows customers to take that next step above our LTD brand, with guitars and basses that are made by the same detail-driven luthiers who create our world-renowned ESP models. And with this statement, he clarifies that the purpose of the LTD Elite range of guitars wasn't really replace the ESP standard, was actually fulfill that gap between the LTD Deluxe and the ESP standard. But there was a small problem with this statement. When the LTD Elite range of guitars were introduced, the ESP standard models went up on price, and the LTD Elite models were priced at the same price that the ESP standard models were on 2012. So what they really did was introduce an LTD Eclipse, for example, priced at $1399, and increase the ESP standard model to $1899. And the problem with this kind of marketing is that the ESP standard fan base, customers, collectors, people that already own ESP standard were really frustrated with this because they honestly didn't want the LTD logo on their headstock. And when you Google, you can find blogs and forums of ESP customers angry, saying, why didn't call it ESP Special? Why didn't call it ESP Tribute or something like that? They just were mad because they didn't want an LTD, they wanted an ESP. And they didn't want to pay more for the ESP standards. And also, the future customers that were planning to get an ESP standard were confused because now the price of the guitar increased. They don't know the difference between the LTD Elite and the LTD Deluxe, and actually they have more options on the Deluxe line, including colors, more models, different pickup configurations, split coils, because also when the LTD Elite line was introduced, they only introduced 7 different guitars, 3 kinds of Eclipses, 2 kinds of STs, a Horizon, and M2. So 4 months later, after ESP realizes the mistake that they made, they announced that they're gonna close the ESP standard line, that they're gonna close the LTD Elite line, and for the rest of the year, they're gonna have a transition where the name of ESP standard gonna change to E2, and they're gonna keep the same quality of the guitars, but also they're gonna drop the price 20%. Now, this was a total mess because at the end, the equivalent of the ESP standard in 2014 came back to the same price that was on 2012. And believe it or not, this transition actually works because people were paying the asking price for the E2s, when at the same time there were massive clearance, massive closeouts from Sweetwater, Guitar Center. I remember when I went to the stores of LTD Elites selling for $650, $700, and these were Japanese made guitars that feel the same of E2 guitar, but were half of the price. And like I said, this is unbelievable because these guitars were made in same factory, same people, same luthiers, same workers, same materials, but the fact that the LTD name was on it was a big issue. And a lot of people said that this was all a complot made by ESP on purpose because they wanted to sell the ESP name for higher prices. They tried it, increasing the price on 2013, and since it didn't work, and at the end, the only way this day for you to get a new ESP guitar with the ESP logo on it is if you get one from the custom shop, either from Japan or USA. So we are talking about guitars that go $4,000 and above. So this brings the question if this was actually ESP Guitars' biggest mistake, or actually their plan work.
Alright, and you guys can see that actually in the transition from LTD Elite and ESP Standard to E2, the ESP Standard range of guitars in 2013 actually have the same foam, the same leathers that the LTD Elite have on their last guitars, and they used that for the rest of the year of 2013. So like I said at the beginning of this video, this one and my other LTD Elite Eclipse I, the one with 24 frets and EMG pickups, are my favorite guitars ever. If I gotta keep one guitar from all my guitars, this is the one I will keep. I always wanted to have an LTD Deluxe since I was living in my country back in 2005, 2006. I remember I saw them on magazines, and finally when I came to the United States, I was able to play one on a Guitar Center. I wasn't able to afford one, but then when I got my first job, I saved a lot of money. I went back to the store, and the guitar wasn't there anymore, and there actually didn't have any LTD Deluxe Eclipses on stock. So I ended up buying a Epiphone Prophecy SG. I got married, I stopped playing, years passed, and finally when I started playing guitar 5 years ago, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my LTD Deluxe, and I started doing my research. It took me like 2 years. Then I find out about the LTD Elites. I got the black one first, I got in love with it, and then I got this one, and these are my favorite guitars. These guitars play really good, they sound really good. These guitars inspired me to play. So I'm still looking for an LTD Deluxe Eclipse. It's been more than 15 years that I'm playing guitar, and for some reason I still cannot get that guitar. Like I said, I ended up buying the LTD Elite once when I find out about it, but I'm gonna do it, and I hope that I can finally have in my house the guitar that I always wanted to have when I was a kid. And like I said, this was the LTD Elite range of guitars. This was Solomon of Solomonic Demons. Thank you so much for watching this video. Take care and goodbye.